I'm on page 57. And we're only going to read just a few things from Shift today, but we're going to slow down and really pay attention to what is being said. If you go down to the bottom of the page, right there, Gary says, move from having success to creating success. Move from having success to creating success. Now, I've been telling you for the last several months that you have to move from a mindset of finding seller listings to a mindset of creating seller listings. Have I said that?
Yes.
Right. Does that sound similar to what Gary is saying when he says, move from having success to creating success? Go from looking for seller listings to being the reason they're listing their home. You have to become the reason they're listing their home. That's creating success. He goes on to say, having sales happen is one thing, but now we need to make sales happen, and that is something entirely different. What does make sales happen mean to you? When you hear those three words, make sales happen, what are you hearing? What does that mean to you? What are you doing in order to make sales happen? Asking good questions. Write it down. It's a great answer. What are you currently not doing that if you started doing it today would move you closer to the goal of making sales happen? Please write that question down. Here's how I want you to write it down. What am I not doing that if I started doing it today, I would move closer to my goal of making sales happen? Or what am I currently not doing that if I started doing today, I would make more sales happen? Or what am I currently not doing that if I started doing it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Focus question from The One Thing, also written by Gary Keller. Now, he goes on to say, most agents don't give adequate thought to building a successful lead generation program that works in any market. Most agents don't give much thought to building a lead generation program that is going to work in any market. It's going to work when the market's hot. It's going to work when there's lots of people that want to list and sell their house. It's going to work when nobody wants to put their house on the market. It's going to work when there's lots of inventory to take your buyers to. And it's going to work when there's no inventory to take your buyers to. How much thought do you put into that? How much thought do you put into, here's the question, what does a successful lead generation program look like to me? Write the question down and then spend some time just focusing on the answer of that question. What I want you to do is just get your journals. This is what I do every day when I read and study in order to prepare for you. Is I read and I write down questions and then I focus on those questions. What's the answer to this question? What am I missing? Where's the gold in this conversation? I'm reading a book right now called The Innovation Stack. Write it down, read it. And you guys know these little white cubes, they're a square that attach to your phone that people will use in order to run your credit card, right? You could look up the company, it's called square.com. And the book was written by the guys who created this product. I had always thought that Apple did this. Apple does everything. And it wasn't. It was actually a guy who was in the art business. Diane, you'll like that. And he had a challenge because he was a very small company. Matter of fact, he was so small that he couldn't get this credit card service in order to offer his product. He was cash only, and that was creating a big problem. Now, necessity is the mother of invention. Did I get that right? And he was looking for an answer to this problem for his own business. And he had a partner, and they started looking at how can we provide credit card service to smaller companies that don't have access to this service. And as he was doing this, he was doing more and more research. And what he found is if you looked at this like a pyramid, the largest companies at the top of the pyramid are creating X amount of money for these credit card companies. And let's just say, for the purpose of the conversation, it's $1 billion in revenue. I don't know what it is. It says in the book, but I don't have that number memorized. But let's just say, for the purpose of the conversation, it's $1 billion. And then you have these medium-sized companies, and they're contributing $1.5 billion to these credit card companies. And then you have all these other companies down here, the really small mom and pop shops. What's interesting is this group down here is actually contributing a lot more money to these credit card companies than the largest companies in the world, because they're paying more per transaction than these companies are up here. And these credit card companies are running their business based on a model that is 30 years old. Based on when you used to go out to eat and they brought you, they'd run your credit card through one of those machines, and they bring you a carbon copy receipt in order for you to write on. And then these different companies would have to separate the copies, send to the bank. It'd take 3 days to get your money. And they're charging on average $4.50 per transaction. But they're charging these people more. And the more he researched, the more he found there's a huge need for providing service to these companies down here. You have all these other companies down here that are so small, they don't even get to play in the game. What's the answer for them? Well, end result is Square.com. And they were able to provide this product free to the companies and the individuals who wanted to use it. You know, you don't have to explain free. When the cost of the product you're providing is zero, you don't really have to go out of your way to promote the product. People just kind of get on board and go, free, good for me. And they took that $4.50 average charge down to $2.50. And what used to take 3 days for money to show up in your account happened within the same business day. It's interesting because the real estate industry is kind of going through this right now. We are. Keller Williams Coral Springs is a great example of this. We completely rewrote the model a year ago. There was a lot of risk involved in that. And when you do this, it can either be successful and you're profitable, or you go out of business and fail. What was I sharing, and how did I get on that conversation?
The book you were reading.
Yeah, I was talking about something that led to that. Oh my gosh.
The book you're reading.
All right. Oh, I know what it was. When I read, I write down questions, and then I just start, and I just stop and I think. All I do is look at that question and think. Now, there's where innovation happens. Gary Keller said something at a mastermind that I was a part of recently. You don't have to be super intelligent to be innovative. You don't have to be mega intelligent to be innovative. You just have to be willing to do the research. You should write that down. All right. So here's the question I wanted you to write in your journal. This is how we got off on that bunny trail. What does a successful lead generation program look like to me? Now, bottom of the page. Anyone who doesn't move to mastering lead generation usually gets shifted right out of real estate. The proven formula you can use for truly understanding that what will work in your market is the 2 M's, message and method. What is your message? What is the message that I am sharing in order to make business happen? Method, how am I sharing that? What am I currently not doing that if I were to start doing it today, it would move me closer to my goal?
Say method again.
Method is how you're sharing the message. So, golden letters, message. There are a lot of buyers looking for homes. There's no inventory, and we have buyers that are looking for great homes like yours. And we're just curious, who do you know that might be thinking of selling their home? Message, method, put it in an envelope and mail it. Go knocking on doors. Method. Now, here's some research that I did in preparation for you because I'm looking for more opportunity for you. And here's the questions that I asked myself. Where is there a market that we're currently not tapping into? Go back to the pyramid. If this was a real estate conversation, how do I build my business on this group down here? What would I do in order to get this group down here, who's currently not in the real estate game? How do I get them in the game? Now, the research that I did in preparation for you is, what's homeownership look like? And here's what I found. The national rate of home ownership in the US is 64.8%. 64.8%. It was 63.5% in 2016 and 69% in 2004. Now, Coral Springs, what percentage of people who live in Coral Springs own the home that they live in? And of the 42,504 occupied housing units in Coral Springs, of the 42,504 occupied housing units in Coral Springs, 62.17% are owner occupied. Of the 42,504 occupied homes in Coral Springs, 62.17% are owner occupied. Now, that means if you go to a neighborhood and you start knocking on doors, owner occupied, owner occupied, owner occupied, rent, rent, owner occupied, rent, owner occupied, rent, rent. Basically, 4 out of 10 homes that you knock on the door, you're going to be talking to someone who doesn't own the home. They're renting. Now, here's how I think. I think immediate opportunity to those 40% homeowners that own real estate, but they don't live in that home, absentee owners. And what could the message be that would cause them to want to sell their home? You have to make sales happen. You have to make listings happen. You can't wait for somebody to raise their hand and say, I want to sell my house. If you wait for that, you're late. You have to be the reason they want to sell their home. So I want to know, how do I communicate? Somebody on their smartphone, please, take 42,504 times 38%. 16,151 homeowners in Coral Springs don't live in the house. 16,000.
151.
16,151. So I'm creating a new circle for my database called absentee owners. I'm creating a new tag and command called absentee owners, and I'm going to add 16,100 people to my database. And I'm going to start communicating with those 16,100 people 36 times a year. In other words, I'm creating a funnel, Hervé, and I've created a funnel tagged absentee owners. And at the top of that funnel, I've got 16,100 homeowners. I'm going to get in communication with them 36 times a year using a 36 touch smart plan in order to create top of mind. So when they think of real estate, they think of me. And message, method. What is the message? What is the method? How am I going to convey to these 16,100 homeowners? Now might be a good time to sell your home. I might be the right real estate agent for the job. Here's the other opportunity. I've got 16,100 people who are renting the home they live in. How many of them have an opportunity to buy today? I'm creating another circle in my database. I'm creating another tag in my database titled Coral Springs Renters. You can come up with a better title than that. And I'm going to create a 36 touch based on, have you thought about buying a home? Or do you know what is involved in buying a home? If you could buy a home today, would you? What's stopping you? Let's talk and see if we can remove those obstacles and get you into a home. Are you aware of the value of owning versus the value of renting? Are you able to, everybody in the room, everybody on Zoom, are you able to share that conversation with anyone and say, here's the value of owning versus the value of renting? This is why you should own. Matter of fact, I have a great loan officer you can talk to. Let's start there and see about getting you pre-approved for a loan. Now, did I share a couple ideas with you this morning for how you can make business happen?
Yes.
Yes or yes? All right.
Yes.
So talk to me. Larry, hand up, talk.
That's
see you.
actually, I'm like halfway through exactly